ones who step up for each other. I've got your back, you've got mine. Kindness, humility, empathy. It's not just talk, it's who we are. It's who we always have been. And no one can take that from us. The movement to bring it back, it started here. And here. And here. In school gymnasiums, community centers, the living room down the block. You'll be where? Okay, we'll be there. Who are we? We're the movement that will beat Donald Trump. Welcome. We're going to have to sweat for it. We're going to have to sacrifice and fight. We're going to have to lead. Everyone is going to have to lead with kindness, humility, empathy, and not just talk, but action. Action today, action tomorrow. Action until we win. And we will win if we do this together. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. Now let's show them.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I know we have a few more people coming in, but it is almost 6:35, so we just want to get started and make sure that we have a great program, which we do have in store. Welcome, DC. Welcome, Maryland. Welcome, Virginia. My name is Jake Steele. I'm an organizer with the campaign. I've been doing a lot of work in Maryland, and it is a pleasure to also be working with Matthias Tillman and some of our other great volunteers who are on this call. Before we go any further, I would like to, before we go any further, I'd like to ask that everyone on this call please mute yourself, other than myself, of course, because I will be speaking. We will have time for questions and answers at the end, and I will, and I'd be happy to hear from, I'd be happy to hear from whoever we can get to at the end of it. But we do have a big crowd tonight, which is great. But for now, we're just going to ask you all, please mute yourselves, and so we can get it started. And I know that we still have some people trickling in, so for those who are admitting people to join, please just keep doing that. Great. All right. So welcome, DC. Welcome, Maryland. Welcome, Virginia. Welcome to the National Capital Region for Biden Kickoff event. We're so excited that you are all joining us. So first, we'll just go through, we're just going to welcome everyone, then go through our goals, agenda, and some of our norms that we're going to have for tonight's event. So first, just the goals of this event are to gain insight on our current approach to engaging Team Joe supporters across the country. We're going to understand how we're building an organization to win in November, and we're going to learn how to get involved with the National Capital Region for Biden and the campaign at large. Excuse me. So the agenda, the way how it's going to go, we're going to welcome you to our campaign. We're going to show you how we're going to win it, getting there, our strategy to win in November, how we're going to build a community organization in this age of social distancing and virtual campaigning. We'll go through some of the tactics we'll use. Then we'll talk about the National Capital Region for Biden. And then we'll go through some next steps to action and have a question and answer at the end. The question and answer will take up, we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. But if you cannot answer, or if your question, if you are unable to ask a question, that is perfectly fine. You all can just email us afterwards and we'd be happy to answer. But so, for now, let's also just lastly talk about our norms. Please take notes at home. This PowerPoint will also be sent, this presentation will be sent to you all after the event, so you all will have what's on this page, or you all will have what's in this presentation. Last but not least, we'll take questions at the end. Please reserve questions until the very end. And last but not least, just a friendly reminder, if you are entering, please mute yourself. We just want to make sure the event goes swimmingly, even though we have a really good turnout tonight. I think we're almost at 200 people. And again, thank you all for joining us. We're excited to please mute yourself once you get in, and we'll get started. Welcome to our campaign. It is so exciting to welcome you all to the National Capital Region for Biden. Whether you're from D.C., Maryland, or Virginia, we're excited to have you. And I also know there's some other people from other places coming in here. And, in that case, it is a pleasure. We're honored that you all will join us. But this is devoted to kicking off the National Capital Region for Biden, which includes the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia metropolitan area. And we are really, really excited to have you all join our campaign. Just a little recap on where we've been as a campaign. We have been, we had our campaign, the first couple states in the primary didn't go as well as we planned, but we knew that South Carolina was our firewall and it worked. And then a major shout out to our people in Joe Virginia for getting a great win in Virginia. I believe they won every county but one county in the state. And so thank you all to our volunteers there. We had some really big, exciting moments. And then the week after Super Tuesday, we scored a huge victory in Michigan, Missouri, Washington State, and in Mississippi. And then less than a month later, Bernie Sanders dropped out and endorsed us, and now we are the presumptive Democratic nominee. And so right now, we are going to defeat Donald Trump. Joe Biden said, one second, let me just pull up the quote. It was sent to me by Kurt Tran, who is a volunteer in Virginia who we'll hear from later tonight. Joe wanted to say, thank you. Our campaign wouldn't be where we are today without your support. Because of folks like you, Joe Biden is the presumptive Democratic nominee, and he's running head-to-head against Donald Trump. And now the campaign is moving aggressively from the primary into the general election. And this is where we're going to be going. The National Capital Region needs your help to elect Joe Biden in November 2020. It won't be easy, but we're going to need a united front, and that's why we need you. So here are the three goals of the organizing program in order to win. Again, I would just like to remind everyone to please mute yourself upon coming in. Thank you. Here are the three goals of our organizing program to win. We're focused on thoughtfully engaging to support virtual world, and we're doing it in a way that's appropriate for this current crisis, an appropriate tone. We're also going to be talking to key audiences and constituencies through virtual events, and we're going to be having campaign updates from students, community act groups, coalitions, faith groups, and many more. And we're also going to be focused on building an organization capable of educating and mobilizing our supporters to vote for Joe and Democrats down the ballot on November 3rd. This is our strategy for getting there. So right now we are building towards maintaining, right now we're building toward, we're building this organization. We need to maximize the number of voters we can persuade in key areas and educate in key states in order to win. To get there, we're building this organization, we're building this community capable of growing and starting that work now. And so now we're going to take a look at how our organizing program will transition over time to get us there. We have three phases of our campaign. We'll start with organization building, which is what we're doing right now. And we're going to continue to do this up until Election Day on November 3rd. In the later fall months, we're going to focus on direct voter contact when these conversations have the greatest impact and they matter most. And then we're going to mobilize our supporters during the last few days and weeks of the campaign through get out the vote efforts. These get out the vote efforts may not be as traditional because of the coronavirus, but nonetheless, we will keep you all posted on what these efforts are going to be looking like. And so now when it comes to organization building, this is how we grow it. Our current approach is we're going to maintain and escalate the engagement of those who are already talking with us. So people who've already volunteered with us, people who've signed up to join us, people who've attended events. We're going to continue to increase the amount of ownership they have over our work. We're also going to bring new supporters into our campaign. We need people who are willing to take action, regardless of how much they can commit to do right now. Whether they can do a little bit right now or a little bit later, anything that they do will help us win in November. So now we're going to talk about the tactics that we're going to be using to win. So these are some of the ways to take action with us right now. We ask people to make calls to your neighbors or anyone in your local network, and you all can let us know how this went at a link we'll give you later, but just so you all know, it's joebiden.com/organize now. Download our Team app, our Team Joe app, and we'll give you the tools to text a message from our campaign to your friends and neighbors and find a way. I'm sorry, I might have been on mute for a little bit. We have a lot of people on the call and somebody must have muted me accidentally. Kurt, could you unmute yourself and just tell me where I left off? Kurt? Okay.
Could you guys please mute the chimes as well, please? Thank you very much.
Just to let you know, it's going to be very difficult to mute the chimes because there are people still getting on the calls, and there's people still getting on the Hangout, and it is coming from my account. So I'm very sorry about that. Just bear with me. Excuse me. So
you can mute it. I'm sorry, Jacob. It's your account. You should be able to mute it from your.
For some reason, I'm unable, especially because I'm on mute. I'll see if I can mute the chimes.
It's very distracting.
Let me see if I can do that. Hold on. For some reason, I am unable to do that. I'm sorry if the chimes get in the way, but please just bear with me. And for those who have been letting people in, please keep doing that. So anyway, this is how you can take action with us, and these are some of the tactics that we're going to be using. Make calls to your neighbors or anyone in your local network. You could let us know how this went at joebiden.com/organize-now. We'll get to that link later, and we'll show you how that works. You could also download our Team Joe app. It will give you the tools to text a message from our campaign to your friends and neighbors to find ways to get them involved. Also, community calls. You could join us in reaching out to communities across the country to check in and see how they're doing in this time of crisis. We also have people hosting and attending virtual events such as this one. These events focus on building community, which is the crucial ask that we are asking right now among our supporters. And we're helping out our neighbors. And again, go to joebiden.com/organize-now, and we'll get to that later. So without further ado, we use these actions. They're very intentional. We grow together. It grows our base of supporters. Many already exist, and we just have to get them connected. And folks who feel connected to our work, to our candidate, that is who we are trying to target. We need people who are motivated to lead in their communities, who are motivated to take action and to take ownership. And that's how we build an organization. One person recruits 5 people in this example, and those 5 people recruit 5 people more, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And that's what we're asking of everyone on this call. So we're working together to build teams across the country. We're identifying new and existing leaders to take charge in their communities, and together build teams of volunteers that will allow us to exponentially grow the amount of work we can accomplish. And the only way how we can win on November 3rd is if we come together and work in unified teams. So now we're going to take a closer look at these community calls I mentioned earlier, how neighbor-to-neighbor outreach works, as well as virtual events. Hold on. So community calls. These are phone calls that we make to check in on our supporters and deepen our relationships with them. And we'll guide our supporters to in-person and online resources in their community as needed, and we'll give them opportunities to hear campaign updates and take future action with us. I know that Carol Lieber is on this call, and I know that Carol has been doing a lot of these community calls. So Carol, would you be able to just share briefly your experience with these calls?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. Can you all see me? I've been making the calls for the campaign. They've been very rewarding. People have been so receptive and so happy to get the calls. I've had calls that are very short, but I've been on the phone with people for as long as an hour because some people are really hurting and maybe don't have anyone who's reached out to them. I was speaking to an organizer in Connecticut who called me, so it was nice to be on the receiving end of the call, and she shared with me she had spoken to someone, and they said that she was the only person who had checked in on him since he was staying at home for the past month. So these calls are very critical. They're very rewarding. You make new friends. We found out that we had mutual friends, and it turns out that I had a picture of her in a photo from the North Carolina Biden event, and I had it on my phone and I sent it to her afterwards. So you never know who you're going to meet. And on an earlier call today, I heard that one of the callers discovered a cousin he didn't know, and now they're going to have a family reunion. So please join in. They're very rewarding. Thank you for asking.
Wow, that is a beautiful story of the North Carolina call you're talking about. Now they're going to
Awesome, Carol.
Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so now we are going to be moving on from community calls. But just one more thing before we move on from that. We are following Joe Biden's lead. He wants us to do this. We need to demonstrate empathy and concern towards our supporters in this uncertain time. Joe Biden is the candidate who he's the candidate of empathy, he's the candidate of leadership, and this is how we are going to lead. All right, and so the conversations will go just like Carol said. You acknowledge the current crisis and the difficult time. You ask them how they and their families are doing. If appropriate, you continue. You ask them about their community, their neighborhood, why they signed up to be a part of Joe's campaign. And if it's still appropriate, you can ask them if they want to be included in any virtual events in the future. And I've actually spoken with people who, after the community call, wanted to host such events, which is very important for us to grow. Next up, neighbor-to-neighbor outreach. There are 2 ways to reach out to your neighbors or anyone you already know and bring them into the campaign. So I saw that someone in the chat mentioned peer-to-peer texting. This is actually the part of peer-to-peer texting that we're going to be mentioning. So just so you know, the questions will be answered. But we have neighbor-to-neighbor outreach, and you could start to doing this by downloading the Team Joe app and texting your friends. The Team Joe app is free for everyone, and it can be downloaded at the App Store and I believe also at the Google Store as well. And you can also make neighbor-to-neighbor calls and tell us how it went. And you could just do that. You could just do this tapping into your personal network. It's super important that we all use our personal networks, and people who are motivated to take action in November. It's necessary that we do that. It is necessary that we do that in order to win. So next up, we have. Hold on. So next up, we have, and last but not least, we have virtual organizing events. These are ways to engage our existing supporters, to build community, and to expand our reach, while also providing a place for supporters to share their stories and connect on issues that matter to them right now. I will actually speak. I'll actually speak about an example of a virtual event that I just ran recently, and it was one about making a difference in your community, and people were sharing ways how they got their friends involved and how they promoted civic engagement in their communities. And some of these neat events included, having Friday wine nights where they talk about issues, or having these mass texting campaigns where they also text about the issues. And so these are ways to get people involved. And these virtual events can also be creative. I know that there's going to be there's a few Biden bingo sessions happening. I also know that there's a trivia session happening too. So be on the lookout for these events. And if you want to hold them for their community as well, then just feel free to be in touch with an organizer, such as myself, and you'll also hear from Matthias a little bit later, and we'll let you all know how these go. And so, speaking of that, here is how these events will go. We'll share the purpose and agenda for the event and give everyone a moment to introduce themselves and share their stories. Unfortunately, on a call this big, we are unable to do that. So if you all have smaller calls with, say, maybe 20 or 30 people, you all may be able to do that. You have a conversation, you make a plan. The event should be discussion-based. It should have a list of questions and a few intended outcomes for the conversation. And then these are the biggest things. You need to have asks. These asks can change over time. And so, for example, everyone committing to make face masks for their community could be an ask for one of these virtual events. And also, we'll review the action items identified throughout the conversation as part of next steps. We'll review all the action items throughout the conversation and ensure that there's a plan to follow up on these action items together as a group. And so right now, our approach is important. And these are just some of the guidelines for engagement. We look for opportunities to bring people together, but we always need to acknowledge the realities and stressful situations of the coronavirus. Moreover, we'll draw a bright line so as not to provide health or other official advice to attendees, and instead direct all questions directly to their local government or appropriate resources. And by the way, when you all make community calls, you all will have these frequently asked questions and these resources to go off of. In virtual events, we'll have opportunities for supporters to hear directly from the campaign and to interact with one another. And we'll provide a way for supporters to continue to be engaged with the campaign. The goal is
Can I ask a question real quick?
questions are going to be held until the end. Sorry about that. But just hold on to your question and we'll get that.
Fine.
So now, before we go into introducing you all to the National Capital Region for Biden, it is something I failed to mention at the beginning, which is my apologies. But for those who may have difficulty seeing or may have difficulty catching all the words, there is a closed caption option on Google Hangouts. If you just go to the bottom of your screen, that pulls up the menu, and you click the Turn On Captions button. Google does a really good job of giving you. Giving you a clear readout of what was just said. So for those who may not see well, please turn on closed captions, and you will be able to see what I said, and I'll be able to see what I said. So now let's go to the National Capital Region for Biden, which is, I know what you all are here for. The National Capital Region for Biden is made up of Joe Biden for Washington, D.C., Joe Biden for Maryland, and Joe Biden for Virginia. And so I believe that Christian from DC is on this call. And so Christian, can you just give unmute yourself and give some brief remarks about some of the great work that you're doing with Joe for DC?
Sure. Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Omari. I'm a freshman at American University in Washington, D.C., and the president of American University for Biden. And in Washington, D.C., I've been working closely with folks from Georgetown, George Washington, Catholic University, University of Maryland, and also greater DMV area universities to really mobilize voters behind Joe Biden and also organize trips and other mobilization efforts to really make sure that students who are so passionate about removing this president are engaged and in due course are really introduced to a lot of organizing techniques and other methods to get involved and make sure that we turn the page on Donald Trump.
Thank you so much, Christian. Now for Joe from Maryland, let's get some brief remarks. I believe that Don Leaf and Jason Delizio were going to give some brief remarks. So, Don, would you please unmute yourself and just give some brief remarks about some of the work going on in Joe from Maryland?
Sure. On the Biden campaign since Iowa, I've been doing a lot of things that I've done with other organizations in Maryland, like Indivisible and Jaywalkers. I know there's a WISE organization. So I would just say that what we're looking for is to leverage that. In fact, I've seen a lot of Indivisible folks who signed up today. So just more of the same, working hard and working together.
Thank you, Don. And now, Jason, would you be able to unmute yourself?
Yes. Aside from the organizations that Dawn mentioned, I've been working with people here in Southern Maryland, people in Baltimore County and Baltimore City, trying to get. One problem we're having in Maryland is some people haven't gotten their ballots yet. So, just spreading the words when people do get their ballots, make sure they vote for the vice president, organizing online, working with college students and on the Eastern Shore. It's pretty much just the grassroots here in Southern Maryland.
Thank you so much, Jason. And last but not least, let's get to Joe for Virginia. And I know that I've called on him before, but this guy has been working tirelessly for the folks in Virginia and helped us win on Super Tuesday, him and all the Virginia volunteers. Kurt Tran, would you please unmute yourself and just talk about some of the work that you've been doing with Joe for Virginia?
Hi, everybody. This is Kurt Tran. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so on behalf of the Joe Biden campaign, I would like to thank you everybody for coming out volunteering. And I know Virginia has been very passionate about Joe. It was South Carolina was the firewall, but Virginia was one that left Joe on top on Super Tuesday. And really appreciate everybody for volunteering and get together. now that we go into the general election, we need the bigger national capital region to come together. Joe was here for us. I don't know, a lot of people in Maryland, DC might not know, but in November 3rd, 2019, Joe came to Virginia and helped to flip Virginia blue. Okay, the House and Senate Virginia went blue because Joe came down and helped us. So now in 2020, Joe need our help. Everybody in the National Capital Region, please volunteer. I know you've been working hard. We need you harder now because we're in the general election. And again, on behalf of the campaign, appreciate everybody volunteering, helping out. And I'm Kurt Tran. I'm the Joe Biden Fellow located in the area. So you need to reach out to me and any of the local team, and definitely be here to support everybody to get together. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jake.
Thank you so much, Kurt. And the great thing about Joe for DC, Joe for Maryland, Joe for Virginia is that you all have your constituencies and you all are working within your boundaries. But the best part about the best part about having a Joe for DC, Joe for Maryland, Joe for Virginia is that makes up the DMV, and that leads us to National Capital Region for Biden. A huge shout out to Christians AU for Biden for making their comms team, for that matter, the American University Students for Biden, for making this incredible logo that we're going to be using as the official National Capital Region for Biden logo. It is great. And now I would just like to ask Matthias Tillman, who's my fellow organizer. He's working in the Virginia area, to please unmute himself and just explain a little bit about just about what National Capital Region for Biden is and just some of the goals and what we're looking to accomplish there. So, Matthias, can you just please unmute yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Jake. Can everybody hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. So thank you, Jake. Like Jake said, my name is Matthias. I'm one of his fellow field organizers. Been on the team since July, starting off in South Carolina, Florida after that. And now I'm organizing into Virginia remotely from North Carolina. And but this is the National Capital Region. I saw earlier in the chat, we do have some folks calling in from all across the country too, which is really exciting. But this goal is just to have a really combined, strong, solid team for Joe Biden going into the general election. Some key states coming up. Virginia is a state that we have to hold on to. Maryland and DC, we know those are Democratic strongholds, but we still want to reach people there, especially with the primaries coming up. We want to make sure everybody gets their ballots turned in for the primaries, and really build a grassroots organization that will help us be successful in November. So regardless of where you live, we want to have you help out, make phone calls, text people, all of the key points that Jake talked about earlier. So we'll be following up in the following days with everybody and see how you can help us out. So Jake, back to you.
Thank you so much, Matthias, and thank you for mentioning the follow-up, because that is what we're going to be talking about right now. So these are just some of the ways you all can stay connected with the campaign. We have a Facebook group that was just launched. You all will be getting an email about the Facebook group to register for it or to sign up for it. We also have a Slack group that some of our volunteers help set up, so you all can be added to that too. And we have National Capital Biden for Twitter coming up real soon as well. You all will get updates from us from Gmail too, and we'll also be having Zoom and Google Hangouts, part of the virtual events that we're putting on, and a lot of that is going to be revolved around some of the programming we're going to have here in the National Capital Region for Biden. And then these are just some of the constituency groups that I mentioned earlier, but we're going to have these constituency groups to get people involved and to make sure that there are clear focuses on the campaign. So, for example, this includes, but does not. This includes, but does not. It's not. It doesn't include everything. But we just have Women for Biden, High Schools for Biden, historically Black colleges and universities for Biden, Students for Biden, Young America for Biden, Todos con Biden, AAPI, Asian American and Pacific Islanders for Biden, Jews for Joe, and LGBTQ plus for Joe. We also have some other constituency groups, such as Lawyers for Biden, Educators for Joe, which is run through the NEA, and Republicans for Biden. And we have many more of these groups. I know that Muslims for Biden is there. These are just the groups I could find logos to. We have people with disabilities for Biden. We have veterans for Biden and military families for Biden. We have African diaspora for Biden, African Americans for Biden. We have all of these. We have all these great groups for you all to get involved in. In the form that we're going to be sending out afterwards, it will list some of these, but it will also include others. So if you would like to help start up or join other groups that you don't see on here, let us know, and we're going to work with you to start it up. We want to make sure that we have as diverse of a coalition as possible, and we are going to, we're going to talk about as diverse of a coalition as possible to win in November, and that is what we are going to be doing through these groups. So before we go to the next steps for action, I believe that Kurt Tran wanted to just say one more thing about virtual events. So Kurt, if you could please unmute yourself, let me know.
Kurt again, I'm sorry. Around the National Capital Region, we have a dedicated team that came together and worked very hard over the week and trying to get us into an environment where we could collaborate, we can work. And that was like the Slack channel. We have team that put together for the Facebook event and the virtual for Virginia aspect and the whole capital area region. So I just want to take a minute and recognize some of these people. And if you're there, please unmute yourself, kind of mention something real quick. Abigail, I know if you can unmute yourself. Abigail leads the team that can help us to build a Slack channel. This is the Joe Biden headquarters channel that we're using down here in the National Capital Region. After this, Jake and I will email to everybody to invite people to come in, and so we can collaborate and start working together. Abigail, you want to say a shout out real quick?
Hi, I'm Abigail. I am in the DC region. I canvassed in Virginia in 2017, 2018, 2019, possibly with some of you. And I just happen to use Slack for my work, and I'm on several Slacks for grassroots volunteering for democratic causes. And Kurt recruited me to help him run this one. So I'll see you on the Slack.
And also we have Steve Kushelov. I know Steve has been spearheading the letter for Joe Biden in the National Capital Region that spread all across the country. We have up to like 300 volunteers sign up to write letters to the editor, and it's a really powerful program that Joe Biden campaign really needed. Steve, are you there? Can you unmute and just say something real quick?
I'm here. I assume you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm heading up the Letters for Joe campaign initiative. Very simply, letters are drafted at a central location. They are then distributed to Biden supporters across the country. They in turn take the letters, they modify, revise, tweak, do whatever they need to do with the letters, and then they submit them to local newspapers in their region. So if this sounds like something that any of you would want to be involved in, you can reach me via the Slack channel, and we'll get you involved. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks so much, Steve. And I know we have a lot of people sign up and in this event right now for Letter for Joe Biden. And like I said before, we're going to open up the Slack channel for you all. I know you have a big group that need to collaborate to discuss. So definitely we'll do that. Also, out of the National Capital Region, we're running phone bank for Joe. We've been running that for the last month or so, just to keep the primary going so that we can get Joe 1991 delegates. And I know Carol Lieber and Don Leaf have been very supportive, helped me train people one volunteer at a time. Carol, you want to say something about that program, please?
Sure. Thank you, Kurt. Can you hear me? We've been calling at least one. been committed to Tuesdays, and then other days Kurt's been making doing phone calls along with Dawn Leaf. She's been very active supporter and some other volunteers, where we've been hosting Zoom meetings. I've been training people how to get onto Zoom, and then we've been going through step by step how to do the phone banking on using the split screen section. Capability of Zoom. And so we've been able to train and recruit volunteers all across the country, made a lot of new friends. It's been an awful lot of fun doing that. Now we're switching into a different type of phone banking, but we still have some upcoming primary states. So you have your choice of calls right now. You can have the calls into the primary states, or you can have the calls reaching out to the other volunteers. Also been hosting the first virtual meeting that we had for organizing in Virginia. And I saw in the chat box, there was a comment about Veterans for Biden. Please connect with me. I'm the secretary of the Virginia Veterans and Military Family Caucus. And we had our kickoff meeting yesterday. We have a lot of exciting things coming up with Veterans for Biden and Family Members for Biden. The family member portion is going to be headed up by Dr. Joe Biden. And we have some great things coming up real soon. I'm going to put my email in the chat box in case you want to connect with me, and I'll follow up with you on that. So thanks very much, Kurt, for your leadership. You have been incredible and awesome and tireless.
Right. Thank you, Carol, so much. Appreciate that. And I know, Don, unless you want to add something, but yes, the phone bank has been going very strong right around here. We got like thousands of volunteers, and we just invite you guys on late, but we are going to bring you all into the Slack channel so we can collaborate, work with Jake and Matthias, and we're going to get Joe elected this November. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Jake, and he's going to take on question and answer. Okay, go ahead, Jake.
Yes, but before we take on questions and answers, thank you so much, Kurt. Before we take that on, we're just going to talk about next steps to action. These include filling out our National Capital Region for Biden, or NCRB, Google form, and look out for an email from us. The email will also include other ways to get involved in a recap of this conversation. We also need you all to help grow our networks in DC, Maryland, and Virginia by making the community calls we spoke about. Please join a constituency group. If there isn't one for you and you want to help start one up, reach out to one of us organizers, or get in touch with us, and we'll help you set it up. And last but not least, we're going to have a follow-up National Capital Region meeting on Sunday, May 31st. So be on the lookout for more details about that. Then a few more next steps for action. We're going to ask everyone here after this call in this coming week, reach out to 3 neighbors and let us know how it went, and ask these people to join the campaign. Make community calls with us. That's a big ask. Host or join a virtual event. You all have accomplished that right now. And for all of this, you can go to joebiden.com/organize now to take action. Here is what that looks like. If you go to joebiden.com/organize now, it will come up with a picture of the former vice president, and it will say, across the country, Democrats are uniting to help Joe Biden defeat Trump in November, and then it will show you some of the high-level actions. Those include calling supporters in your state and hosting a virtual community meeting, and then it shows you how to take other grassroots actions, like becoming a relational organizing volunteer by downloading the Team Joe app, and getting trained to organize the community. And we also have ways to join Joe's online organizing community. It got cut off, but those include sharing graphics on social media, and they also include getting on your state's Facebook page. So now we'll get into questions and answers. Before people ask a lot of questions, I did just see one that asked, "Are we going to get a copy of the slide and a transcript of all of what we're speaking about?" So the transcript of this conversation won't, but the slides will, and we're going to have a recap in the email that we send out to everyone. So let's now go for some questions. If you all had questions, please repost them in the chat, or if Matthias could also see if there's any questions that you think would be applicable to the whole group that you can answer. first, I'll just go ahead. Susan Turnbull, your question about texting. So we do have texting capabilities, and that involves the downloading the Team Joe app and texting your friends through that. That's going to be a part of text banking. It's a very easy way to connect. The Team Joe app makes it very easy to send a lot of texts to a lot of people in a short period of time, and these texts will revolve around, "Hey, how are you?" There'll be community calls, but they'll be shortened in the form of a text. You can also use them for help in your upcoming primary, or for help. I know that DC and Maryland have upcoming primaries, and getting access to vote by mail ballots is going to be important as well. So you can use text for that as well. So the name of the app is the Team Joe app. If you all, we'll send it out in the email after this, but if any of the organizers on this call could also post the link in the chat, that would be great. You are very welcome, Susan. Someone just talked about Moms Demand Action. That is part of a constituency group. I know Moms Demand Action has been working with the campaign extensively. If you are in constituency groups like that, then they should be working with the campaign as well. So getting in touch with your local chapter for Moms Demand Action, such as whether it be Moms Demand Action or whether it be any of the other unions or advocacy groups that have endorsed us, getting in touch with your local chapters will. That's how you can get involved. Abigail, I saw your question about Hustle. We have transitioned away from Hustle into an app called Pencil. That is something that we could definitely have a training, more capital region wide training at a different period of time, or at a different time. But we transitioned to a little thing called Pencil. So yes, so we can definitely get a training and get you all the resources to use Pencil. Let's see.
Hey, Jake, I'm seeing one recurring question that a few people are asking. How do we join existing constituency groups, as well as how do we form one that may not exist yet?
Yeah, Matthias, do you want to answer that?
So we do have, I know there are a few existing Facebook pages out there, social media groups, leaders like Carol. She's doing a lot of work with veterans for Biden. So we'll be sure that everybody can get in touch with the right resources as to how you can join. So just be on the lookout for the follow-up form that we'll send out afterwards. You can check boxes for all of the groups that you would like to join.
Yes, and one other thing is that we'll be sending out in the form that we'll be sending out to you all, which we highly encourage everyone to fill out after this event. I'll also post it in the chat once we officially wrap up, so you all can get a head start, but it'll also be included in email sent to all people who signed up for the event and who participated in the event. But you will be able to identify a constituency group there, and if you, we'll be able to put you in touch with the right resources in that case. Matthias, do you see anything else in the chat do you see any other questions in the chat?
Hi. Yeah, this is Kurt. So yes, we are going to be rolling out the National Capital Region web Facebook. I know Christian has been working on that a lot, the people from American U, so we're going to get that out and post it so you can join in and collaborate as well. Yes, we've been talking about texting, the capability of Pencil, and also the Team Joe app. We also exploring other possibility of maybe doing the texting here in the National Capital Region with Ben and along with the DNC and everybody else's. So yes, please stay tuned for that. And one of the things that we're going to do is going to use Slack as like a collaboration communication point for the National Capital Region. And we will shortly roll that out and invite everybody to come in and be able to use that and work together in a team fashion. And that's include the letter for Joe Biden and also the phone bank people. We're going to pull you all in, okay? So please bear with us as we roll this tool out for our to use, okay?
Yes, and by the way, again, so we have regarding texting, because I've been seeing a lot of questions about that. We have the app, the Team Joe app. The app is called Team Joe. or you could just type in Joe Biden on your app store, whether it be Google Play or the App Store. You could type that in, and it'll come up with the Joe Biden app. The other thing is, or the other app that we're talking about is an app called Pencil, and that's what the campaign uses as part of our Get Out the Vote efforts, and and as part of texting other.
Why is he muted? Why is he muted? He's muted. No. Hey Jake, you muted for some reason. Jake, you are muted. Hello, Jake, you are muted. Can you hear me, Jake? You just yeah. Okay. Look like we just lost Jake. Sorry about that. Okay. Yes. So the Pencil app has been using within the campaign in the headquarters. I know that a lot of challenge with that application. There's a lot of drawback, and a lot of people have been suggesting other platform, Hustle and some of the other platform that Senator Warner has used in the past. And as we integrating all the different group into Joe Biden, now that we united behind Joe, we are exploring all the possibility, things that we can do to make it more effective in the general election. Yes, we've been going through a rough time with the primary, but we're going to be a rougher time in the general election. So please bear with us as we pull together, like Joe's saying. I mean, he's here because we all these volunteers, we pull together, we support him, and we need your support and your help in the future. So we need to be united, okay, to win in November, okay? Jake, are you back?
Yes, I am back. I'm currently on my phone, so you all can't stop me for being on the call for much longer. So I know there's an echo. Let me just get that. Let me try to get that on.
Turn up one of the speaker, Jake, maybe, okay?
Let me just X out.
Yeah, turn down one of the speaker. Matthias, anything you want to add?
Sorry for the feedback and the delay here. But pretty much, let's just keep taking questions. It's going to be tougher for me to answer them because this feedback error and because my mic just stopped working. But please go to the chat with Matthias and Kurt and possibly some other people on this call to answer this question. So, yes, if you want to keep answering this question while I am working on these technical difficulties, please just do so.
Okay, so I see one question. Will there be a coordinated campaign efforts? Yes, there will be. We are in the process of, working through those things. Our campaign leadership, campaign manager, everybody at HQ in Philadelphia is working on finalizing those details. So once we know more, we'll definitely share all of that with everybody on the call.
May I unmute myself? This is Abigail.
Yes, please do. Hey, Abigail.
Hi. I think there's a little bit of confusion that is kind of recurrent every time we talk with organizers from the campaign. When volunteers have asked us repeatedly about peer-to-peer texting, the campaign responds, "Oh, we have the Team Joe app." But that's really not what volunteers are asking for. The Team Joe app is really good to text basically your family and friends, anyone who's in your contact list. When volunteers ask for peer-to-peer texting, they're asking for texting lists of like 20,000 people, voters in Pennsylvania, to remind them to vote by mail. These big campaigns that are very common now, the DNC does them, local campaigns do them as well. And all this texting is separate from Team Joe app. And currently the campaign is using Pencil, which is an in-house app designed by the IT from the campaign. And it's cheaper than Hustle because Hustle has increased their fees very much after people started using it a lot. So a lot of campaigns are looking for other software basically to do the same thing, but without paying the license fee from Hustle, which is really steep. So Pencil is okay. It's not great, but there's now other basically open sources where the code and the scripts to install the app, like Spoke, are freely available on GitHub. So maybe we could consider as a regional organization transitioning to that if the costs are not too prohibitive, because the software is actually free. But I just want people to understand that Tinjo app texting is not what peer-to-peer texting is when other, like DNC does it. When people ask, will there be texting, they mean, will we be texting voters the same ways as we call voters? So it's a little bit misleading when the campaign comes back and says, oh, we have the Tinjo app, because that's not really what the volunteers are asking. Peer-to-peer texting is something different. So the two are separate.
Thank you so much for clarifying that, Abigail. That is much better than I ever could explain that. I'm not a tech guy myself, so thank you so much. And by the way, I believe that my mic is now officially working on the call, and I believe that the presentation is back up and running. Sorry for that delay. And by the way, I've seen some concerns about hacking in the chat. Our campaign IT people are working day and night to make sure that the technology that we use and the systems that we use are not compromised. And they run tests with us all the time. Like for example, they sent us organizers a phishing email to see what we would do. We're all trained in that. Hacking, I know, is a big concern in 2016. We are making sure that we have the team that makes sure that does not happen again. So the number that they can text for campaign updates, so that number would be 30330. Again, it's 30330. And if you text the word United to 30330, then you all will be able to get campaign updates via text. And so that is where you'll get the updates. So in terms of, I know that we only have a few minutes left, and I know that we have, thank you so much, Matthias. We only have a few minutes left and want to make sure that people get some last questions in. But we also do just want to say that, when it comes, if you didn't pick up everything on this call, then that's perfect, or on this virtual event, that's perfectly fine. We have a lot of material here, and we wanted to make sure that you all were well informed, and you know what the stakes of the election are, and you know how to get involved. So we're going to be sending you the presentation that we worked on, and we're also going to be following up with more information, and we're going to be giving you all the resources to have one-on-one contact with the campaign and to get any of your questions answered. So even if there's still some confusion, or even if you have some other questions and such, this is not the end. This is, as a matter of fact, only the beginning. So I know that Marilyn Broderick, I just saw your name again. I know you had a question. What is the question that you have? I'm sorry for not taking your question earlier.
One of the questions was about the slides, and we really need multiple dates for training in pencil. If that's what you're going to use and you're committed to that, then I think you need to have multiple dates available for training for that.
We have trainings going on all the time when it comes to pencil. We have our national training people all the time. So we'll give you all the training and all the guidance that you need to work apps like Pencil, the Team Go app, and to help with virtual events. That's what us organizers and the campaign staff are here for. So we're going to do
an email.
Pardon?
Is this going to be made available to us through an email?
Yes. So I might as well just show you all what the form is going to be. I'm sharing it in the tab. This is what the form is going to look like. You have it's going to be titled National Capital Region for Biden. You are going to put your name, email, phone number. You're going to indicate which state or territory you live in. If you don't live in any of these, you just indicate other, the city or town. Did you attend the kickoff? If you attended, what were your thoughts? We really want feedback. I know I've been seeing a lot of feedback about, the technicalities of the event, so please just let us know. We also have all the constituents. We have a list of conversation groups that we went over in all, and if you want to join, you can click other. But also along with a member of our team, what a one-on-one is, just, we give you a call and we talk about things you want to do. So for example, if it does involve training, then you could just let us know. We would be more than happy to help you all with that. And last but not least, over here, we just have one, or actually we have two other things. If you have skills or experience that you think the campaign should know about, and we ask if there's anything else you all need from us. So if you all need training or just have any other questions, then feel free to answer there. But that is what it is going to look like. We are almost out of time, so I just wanted to quickly run through some of the event takeaways. The first takeaway is that we're focused on thoughtfully engaging supporters and voters to garner support in a virtual world. And we want to do it in a way that is totally appropriate to end this crisis. Taking action starts with conversations amongst neighbors. It starts with personal networks, your peer-to-peer. And we're working to bring people together in service of their communities during these difficult times. And last but not least, we want you all to join the conversation and to choose your action by getting involved with National Capital Region for Biden, and to join us at joebiden.com/organize now. We are so excited that we had over 200 people on this call listening and trying to get involved or learning how to get involved with the campaign. And we are just so grateful that National Capital Region for Biden is going to be a thing. And I know that Jason Delizio had one more thing that he wanted to say. So Jason, if you could just unmute yourself, please do. And then we can, afterwards we'll sign off, and we'll get you all the materials that we promised at the event.
Thank you, Jake. The one thing I forgot to say earlier is labor, the unions that have been behind the vice president since day one. I know that there's a gentleman on this call who's a good friend of mine, who's been a supporter of the vice president, and his union has since day one, David Salazar. If it wasn't for the unions, the campaign wouldn't be as strong as it is today. So another group that we should always thank is labor in this country and in this campaign. I forgot to mention that earlier.
Thank you so much, Jason. I think it's fitting that you end off with that, because right now we are seeing the toll the coronavirus is having on many of these workers throughout the country, and it's so important that we elect a champion. Someone who's going to champion unions and is going to champion the workers in this country and work for the working middle class in this country. So we're lucky to have that person in Joe Biden, and we're also lucky to have over, again, 200 people on this call and 400 signed up to join this event. And we are so thrilled that you all joined us and spent your Sundays with us. If you all have any other questions, we're going to be sending you all the form. So if you have any questions, then, feel free to, if you have any questions, then, or just any feedback whatsoever, if you want to get involved, feel free to, feel free to reach out. We're always here. Also going to put, you're actually going to get the email from me, and which includes my cell phone number. And I know that Matthias might do the same as well. But, we're really excited to have this crew here, and, we're ready. We're going to be united, and we're going to be ready to win in November. So, without further ado, I just want to thank you all again for coming, and we're really excited to have you all join us. And last but not least, I'm just going to share this link with you all in the chat. So if you all want to fill out the form before it's sent out, you can kind of get a start on it. So hold on, let me just put this in.
So while Jake's doing that, this is Kurt again. Thanks everybody. Appreciate you all coming in today for this launch. And we will follow up, and like I said, we're going to have the Slack channel for the National Capital Region and a lot of new programs that we're going to try to roll out. And we'll be in touch with everybody. We'll reach out, and we have like 470 people signed up for this event. A lot of people cannot get in. Some of them is on the stream right now. And we all greatly appreciate y'all coming out and show your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. You all have a great night. And again, please fill out the form that I just put in the chat. I will put it in again because I know that we're getting some questions, and I want it to be at the bottom. Please fill out the form. Thank you all for coming. And I hope you all have a great Sunday night. And for those who are basketball fans, such as myself, enjoy the last two episodes of The Last Dance for Washington Wizards legend Michael Jordan. So thank you all so much.
Yes, and we just have to remember this is a presidential election and we need to get rid of that orange cretin. And we really need to, even if we have to put money into it, we have to have the right apps.
Thank you,
Great.
Marilyn.
Thank you, Marilyn. Well spoken. Yes, we will defeat him in
Thank you
November.
so much. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you, everybody.
Thank you.
And we have to get rid of Moscow Mitch.
Thanks, Roger.
It's with
Everyone, have
Bye, church.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Carol.
Bye,
Good night, everybody.
Bye, Carol.
Bye, everyone. Good to see you, Mark.
Good to see you. I'm still down. Bye-bye.
Really good.